Next up, we have Fiilex, and Brian Chiang is going to give us an update on their lights, and with help from Eric.
I actually scratched my talk completely 2 hours ago. I kind of just redid a few slides. I think today we talk about a lot of different things. There are a lot of good topics covered. Fiilex we are a technology company, so we come in from a completely different perspective. I don't have a lot of background. I didn't grow up in Hollywood. I never took camera until 5 years ago. My wife bought me a DSLR from Costco. So that's sort of where I came from. However, on the other side, I know photon, I know light very well. For 20 plus years, we as a company will align photons into laser, into optical networking. So we look at lighting from a very different perspective. We look at one wavelength at a time, one photon at a time. We look at very precise lighting. And we came into this industry because we recognize that people in this industry would value the quality of light that we can produce. So I put my topic in innovation and passion. I think today we hear a lot of people talk about passion. A lot of respected individual from within the industry give comments, and I think after listening to those talks, I try to connect that. Where is our passion? Where's Fiilex passion? And I remember a story from working in the aquarium industry. We also have lights in the aquarium industry. One time I went to an online blog. Somebody wrote down, today the iPhone 4 was released. And then I went to the store, I pick out the iPhone 4, I look at it, and then, and I couldn't buy it because I want to save my money to buy the light for my aquarium to make my coral grow. And at that point, I was thinking, this guy is completely joking, right? Like, who would do that? iPhone 4 was hottest item in the market, right, at that time. And then what surprised me was there was like 20 plus people following that thread. I got you, bro. I do the same thing too. And I think towards the end of that, it hits me. That is passion, right? I think a lot of people within industry, like what you talk about, you gather today, that's a passion about the art that you care about. You want to make your image better. You want to create the best look out there, and you're looking for ways to take this to the next level. I think Fiilex, we come in from the engineering perspective. We may not understand the art, but we understand the technology, and we hope that we can come in and help and contribute to the progress within the industry. So I'll keep my talk very simple. I'll focus on three things. That's what Fiilex really is about. We focus on 3S. Okay, we want to keep things small. We want to be the light, you're able to shape the light, and we want to create beautiful spectrums. I think the third one, a lot of people talk about today. I'll add a little bit my comment into this section. What do we mean by keeping it small? We keeping it small. This is one of the first light we released in 2013. That product, when we first released, this is the size, draws about 90 watts. You can be battery powers, and you're able to deliver about 300 plus tungsten equivalent light. At the full power, this light is what it looks like. And what we do quite uniquely is that we can tune the color temperature. As you can see, as you tune the color temperature, you do not see the shift in the spectrum. By the way, we actually have 2-inch fresnel in there. So now the light is a bit wider. Okay. And then you're able to cut the light, burn the light. You're able to control the light pretty well. Okay. And then this is a Generation 2 model we released in 2016. Even within this light, we give you the option to do magenta and green color in that. So you might be able to, let me put it on Eric, sorry. So you can see his skin tone. So we're on the magenta side, and now we shift to the green side, okay? So under the same color temperature, we able to shift the kind of green magenta shift. So you're able to, it's a light, you can isolate lighting, and you can have different subject within the same shot. You're able to kind of balance the look in that. So, and there's a very small compact form factor, and that's something we want to continue to do in that. And we're able to achieve that because something very unique that we have, this is what they call the dense matrix LED technology. I think today a lot of different manufacturers here, we talk about different spectrum, how many chips you have in there. The first product we released in here, we have 60 LED chips in there with a size of like a quarter in that. So the advantage of having such a small size is that we can make a fixture that's a lot smaller than what other company can do. And the other thing is that with so many chips all clustered together, we're able to balance, able to shape the light a lot easier than what other company can do. So our secondary optics, so the optics you put around the light, is a lot simpler. So will be a lot more efficient than what other company can do. So with that, then let's talk about the second focus we have is shaping the light. So this is QA Travel that we released in 2016, I think. It draws about 340 watts of power. And I think what's unique about that is that, again, we can do the same thing. It's a very, very white light, right? At fully flooded, it's about 60-degree white. And you can see the feel of the light, the transition from bright to dark is very smooth and nice. And then I think what's very unique about this product is that we can spot it down to about 12 degrees in that. So we can throw to distance over there, and we can change the hue, magenta to green, as you can see on the wall, and then you can change color temperature through that. Okay. So you can see this is color temperature, changing color temperature, and then you can change the hue on that, green magenta shift on that. So you can go from very tight 12-degree beam and to very wide 60-degree flood. Okay. And then one thing we actually want to point out is that with the advancement in LED technology, as I have shown here in the monitor, on the monitor, is that on one side you can see this QA Travel, our beam profile when you spot it down, it still give you a very uniform feel in here. Okay, you don't have a hot spot in there. It doesn't, a lot of lights, even for traditional lighting, when you spot it down, it will create a hot spot in the middle. So we don't have that. So that's, again, the strength of that technology. So the third part is that we talk about color, right? This is a big topic that everybody talk about today. This is a challenge. The spectrum in lighting is a lot more complex than camera. Camera, the number of sensors you have in a camera is limited, but as LED lighting comes in, you have a lot more spectrum. So we spend a lot of time in what's called a color recipe. Right? I think all the manufacturers here, this is what we're competing against. We're trying to find out who has the best spectrum, who can balance it, who can be most consistent. So in our cluster here, the map I show here is that within these 60 LED chips, we have a lot of different channels. They are balanced with many different types of LED, a lot of phosphor, all in there. You blend it together. It's artistry. It's a very innovative LED technology. But when you come to the bottom of that, it's an art, because we try to create a color that nobody else can create. We are facing with a very difficult problem. The difficult problem is this. Number one, how do you consistently create the same color temperature as you drag through the line? Okay, you want to be precise. Number two, as you drag through the line, how do you keep the light quality up? Okay, which means CRI, TOCI, or whatever ABCI you want to have, you want that to be very high quality. You want that to match your camera sensor. So today we have, a lot of people having that conversation. It's a problem. How do we solve the problem? So on the chart in the bottom, you see the 4 squares on the corner. So we would create 4 pots of color, kind of like artists when you want to paint different color in the middle. You have 4 base colors. With those 4 base colors, you create more base colors in the middle. Okay, and everything in between, you have very complex mathematical calculation to interpret that information. And that way you can have very consistent color throughout in there. And then for even more complex light, we have more pots on the side, and then we create more dots in there. So that's the way that we can create the color you see as we dim down. As you can see, as we dim down, we do not change. Now I'm dimming. We still maintain a very accurate color temperature because it's the mapping, the color mapping, and the color recipes that we have in this case. And then the last part I want to talk about is our matrix light. So this is for somebody who really want to control like a surgical lighting, that you want the ultimate control that give you the ultimate ability to shape the light. I think today a lot of people looking at panels. We don't do panels. We don't have a panel solution. What we have is what we call a punch light. So in this particular case, we would put 4 of the LED arrays of this LED arrays together. But on the back end, we still wrap this around with a very customized reflector, so they work together like one. Okay, and then the advantage of that is then you can fill a softbox a lot better. You can do a wash, a lot more efficient. We talk about efficiency in delivering the light to the place. So you can be very efficiently deliver light to a space in that. And then with just the 4 arrays together, we can put in a quad fresnel. So with a quad fresnel, we're able to kind of focus light a little bit. Well, before we put on quad fresnel, you can see the light, the way this light is designed, that you can still cut the spill a little bit. May not be as good as what the Fresnel can cut, but I think we can cut a lot better than what a typical panels able to control the lighting on that. Then with the 4 high power cluster, we have the option of spotting the light a bit more. We're able to go from, as you can see, it was a 99-degree wide beam spread, and now we spot it down to about 31-degree beam spread. So the light becomes pretty tight in this case. And in terms of color, the spectrum, and in this case, this light we also add in the color, because everybody's looking for color in this case. So as you can see that we can do the same. It will produce the color. Okay. Our color, according to a lot of people, is we would expand each color, make the red a little bit wider, blue a little bit wider, green a little bit wider. So wider because we have a lot more chips in there. We're able to have a wider green, wider blue, wider red. So with that, we're able to deliver a higher quality light. So our spectrum, we aim for a more beautiful spectrum in that. So that's kind of a really basic overview of what we can do. On the website, if you visit Fiilex.com, you can see we also have many different kind of other lights in our profile. But these 3 products here really can demonstrate that our capability, what we can do. And if you have any other question, we'll be there, and we look forward to kind of have conversation with everybody and learn about what you do and how we can help here. Thank you.